So structure of hydrated cement. So the presence of water in the so we were discussing about the structure of hydrated cement. So structure of hydrated cement means so the presence of water in the cement or the presence of or addition of the water in the cement will results in the liberation of heat. So that liberation of heat leads to the exothermal reaction where the heat is evolved outside. So this reaction will result in the hydration products of silicates and aluminates, and that will bring a hard mass over a period of time. And this hard mass can be called as the hydrated cement paste. So this process is known as the hydration, and we have already discussed about the hydration products and hydration process and what are the compounds which are evolved during the hydration process. We have seen about the Box compounds also and phases of concrete. So the concrete is considered to have two phases of materials. So it is considered to have two phases of materials. They are cement phase as well as the aggregate phase. So cement phase as well as the aggregate phase, and cement phase as well as the aggregate case phase, which are known as the paste phase as well as the solid phase. And the properties and the quality of these paste will be influenced largely upon the properties of the concrete. So, some of the properties such as strength, permeability, elastic property, as well as durability, and the change in the volume of the concrete are also influenced by the paste structure. So if at all the cement is in a condition of a paste stage or paste phase, the properties of the concrete are influenced a lot rather than that of the solid phase, in which aggregate phase, the properties are influenced in a lesser way. So tests on the physical properties. So some of the tests are carried out on the to know the physical properties of the cement. They are fineness test, standard consistency test, setting time test, soundness test, strength test, heat of hydration test, and specific gravity test. So these are some of the physical tests which are performed to determine the acceptability of the cement, and by this we can determine some of the physical properties of the cement which are acceptable. And moving on to the fineness test. So fineness test. Moving on to the fineness test. Fineness of the cement is measured by sieving the cement by using a standard sieve with pan. So you can see the photograph of the standard sieve with the pan as well as the weighing balance and the sieve shaker machine. So the proportion of cement which passes or which has the particle size greater than 90 microns is determined, and this is done by IS code IS 4031 part 1 of 1996. So the cement which is having a good quality should have less than 10% of weight of cement particles, which is larger than that of the 90 microns. So this is the apparatus which is used for doing the fineness test, that is sieve shaking machine, which consists of a sieve shaker with pan and a weighing balance. And there are three methods which can be used to determine the fineness of the cement, that is sieve method, air permeability method, as well as the sedimentation method. So we'll prefer the sieve method of determining the fineness. And in the sieve method, first we'll take a sieve and we'll take the cement. First we need to weigh the cement particles, cement amount of cement or as well, or weight of the cement which you need to sieve, and you'll take it into the pan of sieve, and with a size of 90 micron or depending upon the particle size, and we'll get sieved by using hand manually or by using the machine through sieve shaking machine. And after shaking it through the machine, you need to take it out and see take the sieves out and separate it, and you need to weigh by using the weighing balance, so that the amount of particles which is retained on the sieve number is, we can say that it is having the size of that sieve, size of that particle. So in that way we can determine the fineness of the cement by using the sieve method. And next method of determining the physical properties of the cement is the standard consistency test. So this standard consistency test is done to estimate the required water quantity of an to form a normal consistency cement paste. So amount of water which is required to determine and to make the cement paste, the normal consistency we can find it out by the standard consistency test. And it also can be defined as the percentage of water required for the cement paste, which will permit the Vicat plunger to penetrate to a point of 5 to 7 mm from the bottom of the Vicat mold when tested. So in the initial consistency, we'll go for testing it by using a Vicat apparatus. We'll test the standard consistencies test. So the amount the needle has been penetrated to a point of 5 to 7 mm. So we'll make the plunger. You can see the setup of Vicat apparatus. It is consisting of a Vicat mold. A glass plate is arranged below the Vicat mold, and to the setup of stand there consists of a plunger and a scale which is graduated, and we need to go for testing the consistency. The mold which is prepared, the Vicat mold which is prepared is placed behind downside of the plunger, and the plunger is allowed to penetrate. And if at all the plunger is penetrated to a point from 5 to 7 mm from the bottom of the Vicat mold, then we can determine the consistency of the cement paste that is formed. And setting time to cement. So cement has two types of setting times. One is initial setting time and the other is final setting time. So we can determine this experiment by using the Vicat apparatus itself. And initial setting time is the time required for the cement or mortar or concrete to start getting stiffened. And so to not completely hardened state, but to start getting stiffened as well as unworkable, that is the stage of cement. Then we can say it as an initial setting time. And final setting time is the time at which the cement, mortar or concrete will get fully hardened as well as fully unworkable. Then we can say it is in a stage of final setting. And there are two methods to use to determine the initial as well as the final setting time of the cement. That is, one is by using the Vicat needle method, and the other one is the Gilmore needle method. So we'll perform in our laboratory, we'll perform the Vicat apparatus for determining the initial as well as the final setting time. So initial setting time will take it in and half. We can go it for half an hour, and final setting time it ranges from 6 to 10 hours. So it is the stage at which the cement or the concrete gets fully hardened. And the next physical property is done by using the soundness test. Soundness property is determined by using this test. Soundness test of cement is determined by using an equipment known as Le Chatelier apparatus. So this test is used along with many other quality tests in the cement. And soundness. So what is mean by the soundness? So soundness of cement means it will undergo large volume change after setting. So after getting the setting of the cement or concrete, what happens, there will be undergoing some change in the volume after the setting of the cement. So that change in volume we can term it as the soundness of the cement. And the large changes in the volume produce cracks as well as the disintegration as well as a distortion. So if at all the volume changes is becoming in larger changes, so it lead to the further formation of the cracks, disintegration as well as the distortion. And by leading all these activities of like cracks, disintegration as well as distortion, it will lead to the failure of the structure. So it is very important to test the soundness of cement to not undergo the failure of any structure as well as the specimen. So to measure this soundness, we are having two methods. One is a Le Chatelier method and the other one is the autoclave method. So first one, you can see the Le Chatelier method. So Le Chatelier method consists of a indicator arms which is made up of iron, and that indicator arms are connected to a split cylinder which is of 30 mm dia as well as 30 mm height. And that split cylinder, we need to take the sample in that split cylinder itself. And you can see the top view as well as the front view of the Le Chatelier apparatus. And we need to determine we need to take the cement as well as we need to keep it in it. We need to mold it in the a split cylinder and check for the length of expansion of the indicator amps, and we can determine the soundness by measuring the indicator amps first as well as the after completing the test. So I think so we have seen the videos also regarding soundness and all the physical properties in our first classes. And next one is the strength property. So strength of this cement, we can determine it by using the compressive strength as well as the tensile strength. So to know the compressive as well as the tensile strength, we'll perform the compressive testing as well as tensile testing as well as split tensile testing as well as the briquette test. So in this we'll first we'll do a specimens which is of 150 into 150 into 150 uh, cubes, and we'll cast the cubes and we'll go for testing it under a compressive testing machine. So as well as the for split tensile strength, we can determine the tensile strength by using the making the cylindrical blocks as well as the tensile strength also. And the heat of hydration, the amount of heat liberated, we have seen this one, and this heat of hydration can be determined by using the calorimeter method. By using that we can determine the amount of heat liberated when we add the water to the cement. How much amount of heat is liberated out, we can measure it by using those calorimeter method. And the next property is specific gravity test. So specific gravity of cement is a comparison of weight of cement volume to the weight of the same volume of water. So specific gravity, we can determine it by using unit density of the substance to the unit density of the reference substance. So we can go for determining the specific gravity by using the Le Chatelier flask. So by using the density bottle as well as the specific gravity bottle, we'll take the kerosene, cement as well as the to determine the specific gravity. First, we need to take the initial weight of the specific gravity bottle, and later on we need to fill it with the cement as well as you need to take the weight, and after that you need to fill it with the kerosene and repeat the process. So that process I have said you before also. And weight is unit density, unit weight of the substance by the unit weight of the reference material. So reference material that you are taking here in the specific gravity test is kerosene. So by using that formula, we can determine the specific gravity of the cement there. And these are some of the physical properties of the test that we have revised. And next one is the different grades of cement. So there are three main grades of cement that are 33 grade, 43 grade as well as 53 grade OPC cements, ordinary Portland cement. So 33 grade OPC cement is a cement which will give the compressive strength of 33 Newton per mm square at the end of 28 days of curing. If at all the cement gives the compressive strength of 33 Newton per mm square, we can call it as a 33 grade OPC. And this type of cement is used for general construction, and for normal environmental condition, we can go for using 33 OPC cement. And next one is 43 grade OPC cement. So 43 grade OPC refers to the cement that has a compressive strength of 43 Newton per mm square at the end of 28 days of curing. Then we can say it as a 43 grade cement, and this 43 grade OPC can be used for the plain concrete work as well as the plastering works. We can use the 43 grade cement. And next one is 53 grade OPC. So 53 grade OPC refers to the cement that has a compressive strength of 53 Newton per mm square. And this 53 grade OPC is used for structural purposes as well as in reinforced cement concrete also. We can use this 53 grade OPC. So by this, we completed the different grades of the cement also. And next one is admixtures. So admixtures, what do you mean by the admixtures? Admixtures means the additional mixtures which are added to the cement or the concrete to give a higher strength as well as to accelerate the setting time, and disaccelerate the setting time in case of any misshaping, and improve the workability of the concrete. Then we will add the admixtures, and thereby will reduce the amount of and thereby will reduce the amount of water content to be added. So in that way we can use the admixtures, and these admixtures are further classified into two types, that is mineral admixtures and chemical admixtures. So they are characterized into two types, and chemical admixtures as well as the mineral admixtures. So these mineral admixtures means they are finely grounded solid material, whereas the chemical admixtures there are water soluble compounds. So solid materials in case of mineral admixtures as well as chemical admixtures, these are water soluble compounds. So depending upon the composition of them, these are classified into these two types. And mineral admixtures. So mineral admixtures, what do you mean by the mineral admixtures? So mineral admixtures are fine grounded solid materials. We can take an example of fly ash, silica fume, ultra fine fly ash also we can take. So these are some of the examples of mineral admixtures. They can be added to the concrete in larger amount and type, because these mineral admixtures will give the ability to improve the workability of the concrete. So to improve the workability of the freshly laid concrete, we can add these admixtures so that we can increase the workability. And mineral admixtures are also utilized, these are also utilized as a replacing material for the cement in case of many concrete structures. So we can reduce the cost also by implementing these mineral admixtures in the concrete structures. And types of mineral admixtures, so these are classified into two types. One is natural pozzolanas and artificial pozzolanas. So natural pozzolana as well as the artificial pozzolanas. So under the natural pozzolana, clay and shales of opalnic cherts, volcanic tuffs and pulmicites will come under the natural pozzolanas, and artificial pozzolanas, fly ash, blast furnace slag, silica fume, rhesus cash and metacoilin will come under the mineral admixtures under the artificial pozzolanas. So chemical admixtures. What do you mean by the chemical admixtures? Chemical admixtures are the admixtures which are added to concrete in a small amount for a specific function. Then we can call it as a chemical admixtures. And if at all the chemical admixtures are added more quantity rather than the required quantity, it will show the negative effects and properties on the hardened concrete. So chemical admixtures need to be added in a sufficient manner to reduce the water reducing admixtures. And as a retarding setting time, the accelerating setting time, as well as the superplasticizer are also added as an air entraining agents in these chemical admixtures. And types of chemical admixtures. So there are many types of chemical admixtures we can take into characterization. Some of them are plasticizers, superplasticizers, retarders, and retarding plasticizers, accelerators, and accelerating plasticizers, air entraining admixtures, damp proofing one, gas forming admixtures, and air retaining admixtures. So we'll discuss about the types of admixtures now. So first one is the super plasticizers. So these super plasticizers are added to reduce the water quantity in the concrete, and they are added from 15 to 25%. And these will increase the strength of the concrete and make denser. And super plasticizers are a liner polymers which are containing sulfonic group, and the main purpose of these super plasticizers is to produce a concrete with high slump from 175 to 200 mm, and we can increase the slump quantity by using these admixtures, and we can also increase the strength of the concrete also by using the admixtures of super plasticizers. And accelerators, so accelerators are used to reduce the setting time of the concrete, and by the removal of these forms in the cold weather conditions, CaCl2, calcium chloride is most commonly used accelerator there. So by using this calcium chloride, there might take place a corrosion activity. So we need to take care. Corrosion activity will take place due to the steel reinforcement, so CaCl2 should be avoided, and people are getting aware. So there will be a growth in this chloride free accelerator also. And so next one is retarders. So retarders are added to increase the setting time by downing the hydration of the cement. And retarder will consist of both organic as well as the inorganic. And under the organic, you can take calcium, sodium, ammonia like that. Inorganic, lead, zinc, phosphate, etc. So these retarders are used to reduce the water reducing agents. And next one is water reducing admixtures. So these are added to decrease the to achieve a more slump as well as the lower content cement, and water reducers are used in this case. And plasticizers are also used. And moving on to the air entraining admixtures, air bubbles in the concrete are formed, and these air bubbles are acting the rollers and improving the workability. And air entraining admixtures are compatible with some admixtures, and care should be taken while doing this air entraining admixtures. And what are the properties, dosage, as well as effects and usage of admixtures? So increase in workability will increase the water content, and decrease the water content at the same workability. And it will retard as well as accelerate the initial setting, and reduce the preventing of settlement, and reduce the activity of bleeding, reduce the segregation, reduce the improve the pumpability, and reduce the slump loss also. So fresh properties as well as the hardened properties. So for the fresh properties, they'll increase the workability without increasing any water content, and these will reduce the heat evaluation. And for fresh property, they'll accelerate the time of setting, they'll accelerate the rate of strength development, reduce the preventing settlement, increase the strength, modify the rate of capacity of bleeding, and this will increase the durability. And for fresh properties, it will reduce the segregation as well as improve the pumpability. And in case of hardened property, we can decrease the permeability, and corrosion also will get. So dosage of admixtures. So the dosage of admixtures should be added in a sufficient quantity, and if at all it exceeds, what happens? So low dosage need to be less than that of 0.2%, and permitted dosage should be less than or equal to 5%. The dosage should be there. And by effect of usage of admixtures. So by the usage of admixtures, there will be a taking place of the rapid slump loss, and it is observed in higher cement content. And it can be reduced by adding the booster dosages at intervals. And segregation as well as the bleeding also is observed in the low cement content. And you should minimize it by reducing the admixture dosage, and by increasing the content of cement used, and over retardation. So in this, when the admixtures is added beyond the specified dosage, it will affect the construction schedule, and decrease the low strength development at early stage. So this will be seen due to the over retardation and shrinkage. So this is observed in the larger slab sections due to the water which is excessively evaporating from the surface of concrete, and thereby breezing also. And further leads to the formation of cracks as well as the shrinkage in the structure. You can see the graph of percentage of CaCl2, Cl2, and what is the effect of CaCl2 on the setting time of ordinary Portland cement is given in the graph. So initial percentage of CaCl2 and final percentage of it. So this is regarding the revision of unit 1.